Hi, guys. This is going to be a good interview. There's a lot of good content in here. If you're somebody that's looking to explore the world, Shoshana, who I have as a guest on this interview, has a lot of beautiful information to just kind of inspire you to follow your path and that inner voice that is guiding you to take a journey. I do want to give you a little heads up that the sound is a little bouncy. There's a friendly little dog that barks in the background, and I'm all about being authentic right now, so I'm just going to kind of roll with it because I think the message is really beautiful and I want you guys to check her out. So we're going to dive into the next interview. Stay tuned. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Awakening with the Girls. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Awakening with the Girls podcast. I am super excited to learn about today's guest. Can you go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are and what makes you you?
Yeah, so my name is Shoshana. So I am originally from the DC area, from Bethesda. Right now I'm actually living in Guatemala, in Shela, which is in the north in the highlands of the country. It's super beautiful. Everyone should definitely visit at some point. And I am a yoga teacher and a online yoga studio owner now. So that's sort of where we're at the moment.
I love it. So with this podcast, what I like to do is open up a space for others to learn about other women's spiritual journeys and how they got to where they are in the world. So I would love to know, what was it like for you when you first started your spiritual journey? Was there ever a turning point for you, or what kind of inspired you to go into a spiritual path?
Yeah, interestingly, I feel like it started when I was really a child. So my mom's a yoga teacher, and she had us taking yoga classes since like I was super tiny, like preschool all the way through. So yoga, spirituality has always been a part of my life since I was a kid, and it's always been something I always came back to find grounding and to find centering. And then more recently, I decided to kind of take that next step beyond just my own personal practice and see like how can I actually share that outside of myself. So I decided to do my yoga teacher training actually in November. And I think a big catalyst for that moment was my father. He passed away from prostate cancer. And I decided that I really wanted to dedicate this year of my life to learning and growing, and how can I take that learning and growing outside of me and share it with others. My father was a teacher, so I really wanted to honor that and take that outside. So that's sort of what pushed me to do this more intensive study of yoga, and then eventually bring it to where we are today.
So around how old were you when you went through that process?
Well, my father, he passed away in October. So this was pretty recently is when I decided to sort of really push this further than where it already was.
Beautiful. I found personally that going through a loss like that is actually a huge spiritual catalyst. When I first got Reiki attuned, I was connecting with my mom, who had actually passed away when I was 6. And it was like I was about to turn 20. I was going through this connection of wanting to connect deeper to spirit, and I started diving into Reiki, and I couldn't find a Reiki attunement until I was around 23. And it was like supposed to be on my mom's birthday, and there was this big spiritual connection to it. But then it wasn't really until I lost my grandmother, like about 5-6 years ago, it pushed me into wanting to create something bigger. And that's when Selo and I made Bring Me to Life. So I love that you took that grieving process and you turned it into something you could offer the world.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something beautiful that practices like yoga, like Reiki, meditation, sound healing, that we can take them so far outside of our own healing. And we can even take our own pain and transfer that into this beautiful healing thing just to give to other people. Like I feel like that's just what sets all these practices apart in a way.
Definitely. I think of a quote often that's something along the lines of pain is a portal. It's like this portal to a new beginning and a reminder that there is more out there. So I love that. So let's talk a little bit more about that journey for you. Through your spiritual journey, I'm sure that there's been times where you've been more into it than others. And I'm kind of curious, what are some resources or offerings that have kind of shifted your perspective? I like to get people's ideas on books or movies or something to kind of give somebody looking to dive deeper somewhere to start.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I definitely feel like there's, for sure, like you said, there's always things like ebb and flow. Like sometimes you're really into stuff, sometimes you're just totally somewhere else. I personally noticed with myself when I was kind of just distracted and elsewhere, like moments where I was like, wait, like I need to bring this back in, is when I was maybe feeling a bit of like distress or feeling stressed out or something like that. I remember once I just moved to Australia and I decided just to like go work there and live there. And I got to where I was staying just in a hostel and I felt so crazy overwhelmed. And I was like, there's all these people and all these new things. And it was like, what do I do? And I was like, I really just needed to go to a yoga class. So I just went online and I found one and I went to this class just for an hour. And I came back out afterwards and I was just like, oh, exhale, like completely clearer. Like, so yeah, I feel like when it's like those moments like that, you're just like, that's sort of been a way of finding more clarity in that regard. Yeah.
I think that that's important too, is to remember that sometimes we do kind of fall off of the track, and there's those different moments like going to that class that you maybe have been putting off or you've never been to before, and putting yourself out of your comfort zone can be a really powerful awakening experience. For me, it's been kind of different books. Like I'll go a little period of time thinking, oh yeah, I'm doing my meditation, I'm doing my practice, but it kind of becomes stagnant and just becomes part of the routine, and it loses its kind of intention. And then I'll listen to just one specific meditation, or I'll read a page in a random book, and it kind of like shifts everything and goes back into that spiritual intentional living. What are maybe another moment that's sticking out to you that you learned a lesson from that you would like to share with the community, if anything?
Let's see. Think about something. Yeah, I mean,
Like even going to Australia, what was kind of the starting point for that? I know for me, it's hard for me to just travel. I'm like a planner, and it sounds like you kind of like went for it. What was the catalyst there?
yeah, so I graduated from high school and then I went to university in North Carolina and I was there for like 2 months and I was super miserable. It was just the wrong fit for me in every way possible. It just didn't work. And I decided just after 2 months I was not going to stay anymore because it just wasn't working. So I went back to DC and I was just going to Montgomery College, the community college there. And I kind of just realized, I felt like part of the reason it wasn't working because it wasn't serving a higher purpose for me, I suppose. And I had this curiosity of what is the world around us? What is the cultures around us? Who are the people in the world? And like my world had been so small just where I was. And I feel like it's just such an important thing to get to know everyone and see, like, you know, if we have that opportunity, it's so important, I feel, to own that and to use it. So I started looking at programs for school overseas, and I actually ended up doing my whole university in Italy. So I lived there for 3.5 years.
You've been all over the place.
Yeah, I do. I love to live in different places. It's one of my hobbies, I suppose. But yeah, so I did that. And then after I graduated, I just went home and I worked for a little bit and I saved all that money. Like I just worked really hard and I just saved. I didn't do any activities. I just saved the money. And I decided to go travel in Southeast Asia. So I was there and I was doing some volunteering there. I was working with some schools and traveling. And then I found out about this working holiday visa that you can do in Australia. And I just met a bunch of people that were doing it. And they were just like, yeah, I'm going to go to Australia in like 2 weeks or so. And I'm going to go live there and it's going to be great. And there's this and there's this. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, well, why not? Let's do it. So after I was traveling for about like, I think it was like 9 or 10 months, I was in Asia. And then I applied for this visa program. And I just got the ticket, and luckily tickets from Asia to Australia are very cheap. So that's good. And and I just went for it there, and just, it was just an opportunity that it presented itself. And I feel like sometimes, even if it's like scary, and it is scary, like it's super, super scary for sure. I mean, I remember when I was going to go to Asia and I went totally alone, and I was 23 or 24. Like, I remember the whole week before, I had this like pit in my stomach. Like, I had this chronic stomach pain because I was like so scared and so anxious. And I thought I was actually getting sick. I was like, oh my God, something's wrong with me. I'm having these crazy digestive problems. And then as soon as I got off the plane in Indonesia and I like got to where I was going, this like pain went away. And I realized this pain was actually, it wasn't real physical pain. I mean, it was physical, but it was more of this mental manifestation of this fear. And once I crossed that line and pushed past it, it was gone. And this whole world of opportunity could be in front of you.
That's beautiful. It's like sometimes you just got to take that jump and go for it, or you miss a lot of experiences. So I'm really excited to hear that there are people out there still going for it and making those jumps and adventuring. Now, through all of those journeys, I'm sure you've learned a lot. What are some things you would maybe tell your younger self, or tell somebody that's like maybe in their early 20s, late teens, that is getting ready to go out there fresh into the world? What advice do you have for them?
As cliche as it sounds, I feel like one of the most important things when you're starting any kind of new journey is just this unwavering self-belief, and knowing that like things are going to be complicated and things are going to be weird, and there's going to be unexpected situations that you could never ever foresee coming in 100 years, even if you wanted to. But I think as long as you keep that inner voice of self-belief and knowing that whatever it is, you have that ability to push through it, you have the mental ability, you have the physical ability, that will always get you through to the other side. And it could be like rough getting through to the other side, but it will get you there, and you will find that light that you're looking for.
I think that's a great message, because there's so many people that they don't have that own self-belief, and they almost look for permission or motivation from others. And sometimes you just got to be your own permission slip, because other people are scared for you too, but you have to be the one kind of crazy enough to make the change in your own life.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a really good way of saying it. Like, you be your own permission slip. I mean, I remember when I was going to go to Asia, I mean, especially like being a girl, being a woman, I had so many people saying to me, like, what are you doing? Why are you going to these places? Like, what are you doing this? Like, you shouldn't go by yourself. Like, it's not safe for women to travel alone. It's not safe for women to do this. They shouldn't be doing that. So it's really important, like you said, to just kind of sometimes it's good to listen to others, and it's really important. And sometimes you have to just listen to yourself and turn that off and just follow your own instinct. And then you can just go and find that permission slip, like you said.
Do you have a like an inner pendulum or a spirit guide or any sort of spiritual connection or tool that you use to like help you make these decisions? Or how's your like intuitive knowing work with this?
I actually really credit a lot of like my trust and my intuition to my mom, to be honest. I have this like super vivid memory of being a kid, and we were driving, I think, to Michigan to visit my grandma. And it's a pretty long drive from DC. So it's like, I think 8.5 hours. It's long.
Yep, it's that long, because we're in Maryland and we go to Michigan quite frequently, and it's about 8 hours. For a kid, I'm sure it felt like forever.
Exactly, right? It's like, where are my toys? Like, now I need to be running outside. Yeah. So we were pretty little. So we decided to do the trip in 2 days. So we stopped somewhere in between. I don't remember where. And we got to this hotel. And this hotel, it was like a normal, like, it was like a motel, like a Best Western, something generic like that. And when we got into the hotel room, we got there, and it just felt really, really weird. And there was no particular reason. Like, I couldn't tell you one certain thing, but it felt off. There was this weird energy there. And I remember saying to my mom, like, this place is weird. Like, what's going on here? And she's like, yeah, I feel that way too. You know what? We're just going to leave and go somewhere else. And I remember she went to the desk and she told the people, look, we're going to check out. And then we got in the car, and she said to us, girls, like, you need to remember, always listen to that voice. Like, you don't need a logical reason. You don't need to see something specific. If you have this instinct and it's telling you, don't do this, run, get out of the situation, or on the opposite, follow it, you need to always listen to it. And that's just like a really, really strong memory that I have. And I feel like that's sort of like really been a guide for like coming back to and remembering that little tiny moment, and that, you know, it wasn't even an hour. I think it was like less than that. But it just has, it's always stuck with me and having that thought. So I give a lot of credit to my mom.
Yeah, that internal compass is key. And so many people, when they first start their awakening experience, they're confused by intuition. It's like they think they're going to see a specific spirit guide in like the physical, or in like this like form that they can make full sense of, or that intuitive guidance or spirit is going to like shout it into their mind or something. But sometimes it's just a gut feeling, and it's something that you just you have faith in, and you know, okay, this isn't right. Or sometimes it is, this is really right, and I'm so glad I followed my intuition, and I'm so glad I'm here. Kind of like when you had the pressure come out of your stomach and you finally had landed and made it. It was kind of like that relief in spirit showing you that you kind of made the right decision. So I love that you were able to follow that guidance, and that your mom has been such a positive figure in your reality. Because a lot of spiritual people I talk to, it's unfortunate that their parents aren't there, and it sounds like your parents took quite a big part in your path.
Yeah, they definitely did. Yeah, and still do 100%. I think they really helped guide us to like be our own people and believe in our own personhood. And yeah, and just finding strength inwards sometimes is like what you need. And also sometimes you need it from other people as well. But
Right.
but I think a lot of it can start like within you.
Sounds like you had some experience making soul tribe in your adventures. How do you go about kind of creating those friendships abroad? It sounds like you know people all over the place now.
Yeah, that's one of the great things is like I can go to some places and be like, oh, I know someone who lives here. Like, this is awesome. Like, somewhere totally random. I felt, one of the things I remembered thinking when I was like in high school was I didn't feel like super connected with a lot of people necessarily. And I was like, a lot of people aren't nice, and people are grumpy, and people didn't always want to be super friendly. And then when I started to go on these travels and go to these different places, I connected with this whole different community of people who I realized were all really, really open. And everyone kind of, when you're in these situations, like, you're just there and you're just you. And no one knows you necessarily. Like, you walk into this hostel in the middle of Laos, like, the only thing people are going to know about you is what you want to share and what you want to give. And it goes the same way. And especially when people are traveling alone and you don't know anybody, I think it really forces you to like push your own limit and really go outside and like find that extra. I mean, you don't have to be this crazy extrovert. Like, I'm personally not like that at all, but it really pushes you to like go outside of that and be like, okay, I'm going to just go sit down and introduce myself and just say hi and challenge. I mean, I know when I was a kid, I was like super, super shy. Like, I wouldn't speak in class. I didn't want to be in the front. I wanted to be in the back. I didn't want to talk to people. Like, the idea of reading out loud from like a book in like third grade was like my worst nightmare come true. But I think an important thing that I realized was that it's okay to be shy. You don't have to be this extrovert. You don't need to want to go to parties if you don't feel like it. It's okay to just like stay home, and it's okay to be quiet. And then I think when you accept that part of you, it can allow you to then be like, oh, actually, like, this person just seems really cool, and I don't know why, but I want to go talk to them. And then you can create these connections with people that are real connections.
Yeah, holding space for those real connections rather than forcing yourself to kind of use up all your energy out there sounds like a good practice for those kind of getting into the new world. And it's a journey for sure. Again, I come from a small town, so getting out of my small town was really important to my awakening experience too. And I fully agree with that idea and that feeling of going into a new space and people don't know you, so you have that opportunity to finally become the person that you've always wanted to be. And hopefully that's like the best version of you, not some, who knows, like sassy character somewhere, but it gives you this opportunity to like rebirth yourself. And I love that feeling. just to be able to show up. So you've been able to show up in different ways, and being kind of an introverted extrovert, you've put your energy, as you talked about earlier in the discussion, into creating an online community. Tell us a little bit more about what it is you're working on right now and how people can become a part of it.
Yeah, so during this whole crazy COVID-19 crisis, I decided, I did a Thai massage training and I came back to where I was living. And I was just going to be offering just yoga classes like locally, just with like hostels and everything. And then I was like, everything happened and things, yeah. So I kind of just got this idea that I can make something that's bigger than myself, something that I can give to other people, something that I can involve other people in order to bring yoga, wellness, spirituality to people, especially at a time when things were just so uncertain and so scary, and just bring people peace and calm. So I decided to create Vida Yoga, which is an online yoga studio, online wellness community. And the main idea was just to make these things accessible, make them affordable, make them real. They're not, you don't have to go to a super fancy, crazy, like corporate yoga studio. You don't need to go too far. You can just be in your home, and also just creating a space where people can feel safe and they can be themselves and they can practice in their own way, no matter what that is. And if you want to just like listen to the class and you don't want to be seen, like you don't have to go to a studio where maybe that can be really intimidating, like if you're in some crazy thing and you're seeing people like doing these flips in the air and it's like, oh, I don't want to like do that. So yeah, that's the big thing with that, is just making it accessible, making it real, and bringing it to you rather than you going to it, I think is the big thing there.
I think that is really key right now globally, because even before the great pause, there were so many people that were just exhausted and they wanted to create a practice, but they didn't know how. And with the virtual world being so active and accessible, it's important for people to be showing up there. I know that we got connected through our mutual friend April, that also goes by Annabelle, and I've been trying to get her to do online classes for a couple years now. So seeing her be able to bring that to life through your platform is really a beautiful thing. So you have this website. It's vidayogastudio.com, correct?
Vida Yoga Studios, yeah.
Okay, studios.com. And people can go on there and walk us through if somebody's clueless on, they're like, man, I really want to do yoga, but I just don't even know. What do? They just go to the website and then what?
Yeah, so on our web, so you go to the site and then we have different sections there. So one section, we just talk about what are the different types of yoga and classes that we offer. So whether it's one of our workshops, whether it's, all right, if I've never done yoga, like it can be super intimidating, right? You have like all these names like hatha, vinyasa, yin, this, the, da, 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 da. It's like, what is this? So we have one part where you could just sort of like read and get a little like knowledge on your own with that one. And then you can book your classes. And we originally started off as just donation based, so that we could just bring it to everyone, especially when things were going like they are. And right now, one of the biggest things that we have, which I really love, is our Yogi Scholarship Fund. So we have some really great donors who donated so we could provide yoga and wellness and provide membership and classes for people who might not be in a position necessarily to afford it on their own. So it really just is a super accessible platform. And of course, we have our Facebooks and our Instagram and all the stuff where you can interact. You can see all the teachers. We have different videos of the teachers sharing what their beautiful creations are, whether it's a workshop or a special class that they made. So yeah, you can just really see everything that they're doing.
Beautiful. I love it. I'm taking a look at the different pages right now. And I mean, your prices are very affordable. You got drop-in prices, you got packages so people can buy them at like different 10 classes at a time or so. And your sponsorship, that's kind of an opportunity for people to help, again, other people get access. So if you're feeling giving and you want to help somebody who maybe has never had an opportunity to do yoga before, that's a really good outlet. Now, is this also something that you've been able to create to help different instructors find a new way of income or anything like that? Because I know that's been really hard for the yoga community. So many of you have not been able to, again, get to those studios. So it seems like you've got different teachers from all over.
Yeah, so I think we're 10 in total. Yeah, so it's been really great that we could all like come together on this platform and we can all work and everyone can generate income and connect with people. I mean, literally all over the globe. We have students in the US and Canada and Guatemala and Israel and Italy, like in England. Like it's this really great way for teachers to meet new clients, meet new people, and you can even, if someone really loves the teacher they connect with, they can even have a private student that they met who lives, they live in DC, the student lives in Italy, and now they have a private client that they do lessons with that they met on this platform. So you're just like totally just crossing these boundaries and, just deleting those borders.
I'm sure that you're a big puzzle piece in that. So it's beautiful that you've been able to take your traveling experiences and be the bridge for so many of these beautiful people that don't have the opportunity to go to Italy and Australia, and the people that you've kind of crossed paths and pinged into the Soul family. You're really connecting people globally, and that's beautiful. Let's see here. So looking at the page, again, like you said, there's so many different classes here. What is a class? Do you have a specific like beginner's class, or where would you tell somebody maybe to start if they were really overwhelmed?
Yeah, for sure. That's a very good question. Well, I would say the first thing I would ask someone is, I think a big part is also your general kind of are you already a really active person, or are you less active? So if you're already a really active person, I would say starting with a vinyasa or a hatha class, because we really cater those to all levels, which is like a huge thing that we do. We want the classes to really be for everybody. So all the instructors, we work really hard to make sure that no matter what we're doing, we're offering adjustments, we're giving you lots of choices. So, we practice as a community, but the practice is also your own, and we'll give you the tools that you need in order to make it your own. So I would say if you're already like pretty active, a regular vinyasa hatha class is great. I would skip the power yoga, maybe wait a little bit more for that one. But if you're looking for just something a bit more chilled, more laid back, one of like the gentle yoga classes, the gentle flows, are a really nice way to get familiar with the flow of the yoga class, but also really have that ability to really take your time in each position. But you're going fast enough that it's not like, you're not spending too long where maybe your mind might wander in that kind of a sense. So I think that's really good for beginners, is like either the gentle classes or like a vinyasa or hatha class are like an excellent way to start.
I know another hot word in the yoga community right now is Ayurveda. Can you explain maybe what that is for someone who has no idea, that might read it and be like, what does that word mean?
Yeah. So I'm not an Ayurvedic practitioner by any means,
but just a basic understanding is helpful.
So Ayurveda, it is the ancient medical science from India. So it's a whole school of medicine. So one of our teachers, Claire, she's actually like properly trained in Ayurveda, and she could tell you all about it. But it literally is like yoga's sister science. And what Ayurveda is all about, it's really about understanding, they call them a dosha. So it's like we have these different elements within us, and it's dependent on your body type, your mentality, or what you eat, what you drink, the weather. It's really connecting the physical and the spiritual, and working to help you live your best life and be the healthiest version of yourself. And it's all about the mind-body connection. So, these things are not separate, definitely in Ayurveda. Like there's certain types of foods that you should be eating if you are a certain way in this and this. And if the weather is rainy, you should maybe try this. And if it's sunny, you should try that. So it's really all these super interconnected things, which is yoga, right? Everything is mind, body, spirit. It's all connected. So that's why we call it yoga's sister science, because it's literally what it is.
Yeah, and that kind of feeds into the next thing I wanted to make a point of, is it's not just yoga that you're offering. You also have tasting classes with the chef, and fermentation, and understanding the fun behind that. And we're working on hopefully getting some sort of sound meditation or sound healing going with you. And it looks like you have other meditations here booked as well. So it's beyond just yoga. It's kind of a very like spiritual portal to many different levels of that. And like you said, it all kind of goes back to yoga. But for somebody who's like, I'm not yet into the stretching part, know that there's probably still something there for you to check out.
Yeah, and I really love that we can do those cooking classes, and that I got to meet Gabe, who's the chef, because yoga yoga lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle, wellness, feeling good about yourself, it's not just about being on a yoga mat. It's like so beyond that. And if you can do these cooking classes and you can learn about healthy eating, and like not just healthy, but like super, super delicious, like, and you can really apply all these little tiny things outside of that 1 hour that you're in yoga class. And I think that's like the most important thing, is being able to take that practice outside of the mat and into everything that you do.
Turning the practice into a lifestyle. I think that's like the transition there. Beautiful. So again, people can check that out at Vida Yoga Studio. Again, I think maybe in July we're working on doing some sort of sound meditation together. I hope it works out. We're still figuring out technology here. You know, sound and technology is very interesting and delicate. So is there anything else that's channeling through you right now? Any other messages or energy that you feel guided to share?
I guess I would just like to say that, you know, I think the biggest part of what I want to create and give to people is just this like wonderful accessibility and just like sharing. And I want people to know that what my goal is, what Vida Yoga, what all the teachers, like our biggest thing we want is to just bring joy and light into people's lives through this platform. And we work so hard to do that, and you as well, and just to bring that to people. And yeah, I just want people to know that this is like a really safe, wonderful space, and it's for literally everybody, literally everywhere. And you know, we welcome everyone with just such open arms, and we just really want to share. So, yeah.
Yeah, anyone that's going through the effort to create a virtual experience is doing it out of the goodness of their heart, because it is a lot of work to create online communities, to create websites, to create branding, to make sure that you get it advertised and out there in front of people. So if you know anybody or you feel inspired by anybody and they're sharing content, hit the share button, check out the website, go take a peek at one of the classes. And even if you think it maybe isn't for you, give it a shot and kind of put yourself out of your comfort zone for a little bit, because there's a lot of people right now doing their damnedest to try to make a change in the world, and it's all went virtual. So in some aspects, it's really nice to be able to reach people all over the world, but we're also missing our community in the interaction part. So if people are out there and you hear us calling into the void of the internet, go check it out. Go follow people. Where can people find you on the internet? Go ahead and give the website another shout out. But if you have anywhere you want people to follow you elsewhere, where do we find you?
Yeah, so our website is vidayogastudios.com, and you could also look up Vida Yoga Studios on Facebook and on Instagram. The handle is the same across the board, so it's super easy to access. Yeah.
Yay! So Vida Yoga Studios. You can also check out other uplifting content at bringme2life.com with the number 2. I'm sure you know where to find us on the other social medias, and I'm Shantastic Shine in most places. But until next time, I hope you guys stay awake, shine on always. Bye. Thanks for shining on with us.